All right, in this video, we're going to be comparing numbers that go into the decimals. So just like with whole numbers, I'm going to draw out a place value chart. However, this time I'm only going to go to like the ones or tens place, and then I'll go into the decimal side. So if we start with decimal right here, our decimal point. All right, and I'm going to go ones just to give ourselves some clarity of where we are, and then we could even do tens if we really wanted to. All right, now we're going to go to the other side, and I'm going to put the tenths. Don't know why they don't say once. I think it's because tenths really means it's being divided by 10, and if you divide something by 1, that would be over here in the ones place. one time that you can divide something by 1. So divided by 1, divided by 10, divided by 100. This would be the hundredth with a DTH. And then after that, we'd have the thousandths. And then you'd have the 10,000ths. Just like in our place value chart, when we go over here, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, it goes the same way the other direction. We just add that th onto the end of it to mean this is really 1 divided by 10, 1 divided by 100, divided by 1,000, divided by 10,000. I compare them in the same way. So I'm going to put two numbers up here. Let's see. Can you see that all right? Let's move this over just a little bit more. Center it. How about 1? We'll put a decimal here. 0, 1, I don't know, 4, 3, 2, and we'll put a 0. I'm gonna put a 1 here first. 1, 4. Okay, so let's start with, first, you always still look at the biggest place value. So in this number, if I had 1, so you would say the whole number as if it was normal, and then I would say the place value. So 1,432 10,000ths versus 1 and 147. Oh my gosh, I tongue-tied this morning. 1,432 10,000ths or 1 and 1,475 10,000ths. I'm still looking at the biggest place value over here, and I can see that I have a 0 in the ones and I have a 1 in the ones. So which would be bigger, 0 or 1? Well, this one has to be bigger because I have a 1 right here. So that's if you've got something over here in the whole number place still, and you've got a decimal side. You still don't worry about the smaller numbers. You still look at the biggest place value for that. So let's now look at the decimals. Let's say this is now a 0. So now I have 1,432 10,000ths or 1,475 10,000ths. All right. So I still look at the biggest place value. Now that I've got zeros in my ones place, I'm going to go and look at the tenths place. And well, look at this. It looks like I have a 1 in the tenths and a 1 in the tenths. Well, that's the same number, so that's not going to help me. Let's look at the hundredths place. Well, gosh, I've got a 4 in the hundredths and a 4 in the hundredths. So that's the same number. If I crossed off this stuff right here, I'd have 14 hundredths and 14 hundredths. Those are the same numbers. So let's go to the thousandths place now. Okay, now here I've got a 3 in the thousandths and a 7 in the thousandths. Now this is something that's different. So I can see that 147 thousandths is bigger than 143 thousandths. I don't have to look at the 10,000ths to know that now I can tell this number is bigger. As you can see, 147, just if I were to write it out normally as a whole number, is bigger than 143. All right. Now, decimals can be confusing though, because sometimes they're not quite as obvious, especially if I don't put them on a place value chart. Move over here really quick so I can give you a demo. For instance, if I were to told you, I want you to compare 7/10 versus 1,342 10,000ths. Sometimes you look at this and think, oh, well, this has 1 digit in it. This has 4 digits in it. This one, if this was a whole number, this one would be bigger, 1,342. We don't actually put the comma there in decimals. This is way bigger. It's got more digits, more stuff to it. But remember, we still have to look at the place value chart, and we still have to look at the biggest place value holder. So let's put that number into our place value chart. We would have a 7 here and then a bunch of zeros after it, if we just want to put those placeholders there. And then we'd have 1, 3, 4, 2. Okay. So using the same method where we go to the biggest place value first, I would look, okay, 0 in the ones, that's the same. I have to keep going. Cross the decimal. Now I'm in the 10th place. Well, I've got a 7 in the 10th place and a 1 in the 10th place. Which one's bigger? 7 or 1? 7, by far, no question about it. And even though we've got all these zeros afterwards, does it mean that this number is any bigger? No, it really doesn't, because these are all much smaller. They have nothing to compare to the ones in the 10th place. So don't even worry about these numbers. Just look at your biggest place value. Even if you've got a number that goes on and on and on. If I went back over here and I said, well, I'm going to add 9s to the rest of this number, it doesn't make a difference. This number is still never going to be as big as 7/10 because I have a 1 over here in the 10th place in the other number. So I hope that helps. When I started thinking about decimals when I was in 4th grade, it really helped if I thought about money, because we're all pretty familiar with money. So if you think about like 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, and think about it in terms of money, it kind of helps at first if you read it out like that, and definitely use the place value chart.